study, and I will be talking to everybody who has been teaching. But Danielle
Hello.
was supposed to be here, or was supposed to teach last time. Don't give me that look. She was supposed to teach last time. Last time study.
Oh.
Not last week.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah, not last week,
Okay, yeah.
but like last time we studied the Bible.
Yes.
She was supposed to. So
I was. Yeah.
She's doing her thing with Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not a teacher, but
we
come
call her
to find
professor
out,
now.
going through Hebrews, we are all teachers. So we are all in this together. We're just chatting about this. Cool.
This is Danielle.
Hi.
She gonna make us study. Anybody else need this Bible?
No.
Cool.
Okay. Is this live? Cool. Hi. Okay. So, is it not working? Is it working? Is it live? I don't know. Okay. So, okay, so week 9, the call to faith, Hebrews 10, 19 through 11 and 40. I want to say if everybody got a chance to read over it. I'm just going to kind of go with what y'all, do we want to read through it first? All the way through? Yeah. Okay. All right. So in that case, I just want to start off also. Again, I think they heard it, but I'm going to refer back to Jenny's week of chapter 5 and verse 12. Just that all of us are in this together. We're all teachers. And so give me some grace. I'm not the best, but we're just going to chat through this whole deal. Is there anybody who wants to start reading for us? We're on 1406, starting with verse 19. Yeah, at the bottom, the full assurance of faith. That's where we're starting. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. We're in chapter 10. Chapter 10, verse 19, the full assurance of faith. It's 1406 in the study Bible. No, it just however long you want to go.
Therefore, brothers, since we have confidence to enter the holy places by the blood of Jesus, by the new and living way that he opened for us through the curtain that is through his flesh, and since we have a great priest over the house of God, let us draw near and with a true heart in full assurance of faith, with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Yeah. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, all the more as you see the day drawing near.
For if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, and a fearful expectation of judgment, and the fury of fire that all will consume their adversaries. Anyone who has set aside the law of Moses dies without mercy, on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment do you think will be deserved by the one who has trampled underfoot the Son of God, and has profaned the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified and has already the Spirit of grace? For we know him who said, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." And again, the Lord will judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
But recall the former days when, after you were enlightened, you endured a hard struggle with sufferings sometimes being publicly exposed to reproach and affliction, and sometimes being partners with those so treated. For you had compassion on those in prison, and you joyfully accepted the plundering of your property, since you knew that you yourselves had a better possession and an abiding one. Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what is promised. For yet a little while, and the coming one will come, and will not delay. But my righteous one shall live by faith, and if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have faith and preserve their souls.
That's good. Do we want to stop there, maybe dissect that? Do we have lots of thoughts on that? Maybe we'll take a break and then finish off on 11, because I feel like there's a lot to unpack right there. There's a lot of parts on here where I put like, yeesh, there's a lot. Like legit, I put that in the Bible, wrote it in there. Maybe we'll go back, we'll circle back around, but there's lots I want to dissect underneath there. Okay, let's move on to 11 now. Anybody?
Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it, the people of old received their commendation. By faith, we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteous, God commending him by accepting his gifts. And through his faith, though he died, he still speaks. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith.
By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place where he was received as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive, even when she was past that age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one man, and from him as good as dead, were born descendants as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city.
By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son, that he made said, "Through Isaac shall your offspring be named." He considered that God was able to even raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did, receive him back. By faith, Isaac invoked future blessings on Jacob and Esau. By faith, Jacob, when dying, blessed each of his sons of Joseph, bowing in worship over the head of his staff. By faith, Joseph, at the end of his life, made mention of the exodus of the Israelites and gave directions concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw that the child was beautiful and they were not afraid. They were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, Moses, when he was grown, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the approach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking toward the Lord. By faith he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he had endured, and seeing him who was invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and sprinkled the blood, that the destroyer of the firstborn might not touch them.
By faith, the people crossed the Red Sea as on dry land, but the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for several days. By faith, Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, and of David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, but put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated, and whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. And all of these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us they should not be made perfect. Yeesh. Woo. Wow. Can y'all imagine all of that stuff? I love how in that section, all the examples, because to have to read over all of that. I mean, faith, I think a lot of people think faith is a lot of time and waiting, and it is. It's knowing, I mean, imagine all of that. You know, I try to put myself back in that day, and a lot of that is pretty crazy to think about. Okay, lots to unpack here. We're gonna go back. I'm not gonna lie, this workbook, this studies and the questions kind of get to me. It took me a long time I prepared myself weeks before by reading it ahead. And I still don't know what to say. But some of these questions I'm just going to have to, I'm going to need a little help to see what y'all maybe come up with too. But for the first part, is there anything that stuck out to y'all for the full assurance of faith? I mean,
Yes, I like in verse 22, it begins, let us draw near.
mm-hmm,
We have marked in our Bible, let us hold fast at verse 23, and let us consider in verse 24. And
Yeah.
that section, those 3 verses, that helped me.
Yeah. And so there is a question down here that in the workbook on page 68, where it kind of digs into that, and it says, in what ways are each of these virtues tied to the work of Jesus Christ, the great high priest. And they listed out like faith, hope, and love. But just exactly those words that stood out to you, I feel like it's describing, his promise right there, and then those words, go ahead if you want to, like, those just stuck out to you.
Because they gave complete direction.
Right.
If we draw near, we're drawing near to the true heart, the fullest assurance of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Our hearts sprinkled clean from the conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who has promised is faithful, and let us consider how to stir up one another to love and to good works,
That part.
not neglecting to meet together.
Yeah.
I just appreciated how it just had one step built on the next.
Right.
And
It's giving you the answer. It's giving you a key almost, like
yeah.
it's right here, black and white.
It's repeated throughout.
Right.
Hebrews.
Press in.
Yeah.
Those are the things, even leading up to this discussion and teaching, so to speak. My nerves get the best of me all the time. But I know you guys were talking about this, but pressing into that and just knowing that he's going to come with the words, like I have to have faith in not just that, but those are minute things. Those are little things, but it's literally giving you, right. It's
An invitation.
right. And that's all he wants is us to draw near with a true heart. That's all he wants is our heart. I just thought that was like, wow. And then even something in verse 24 that stuck out to me. I think of like gathering. I have social anxieties, so to speak, that keep me from coming out into social events, so to speak, even coming into this, coming to service and coming into a discussion where everybody's, digging deep into this, because these are deep things. You put yourself in a perspective of where this is portraying into your life. And that part stuck out to me because it says, let her consider how to stir up. Like, what do you think stir up? That to me is like, get people's fire going about Jesus, about what the word is and how good he is. So that I love that. I needed that personally to get out of this antisocial bubble that I put myself in sometimes. But you can't do that without gathering. Meet together, not neglecting to meet together. That's important, I think, as a church, as a discussion, even to so that way we can encourage each other, and we're all leading back to this question of who Jesus Christ is throughout all of that. Faith, hope, and love. Really, yeah, but his promise still stands, because he is faithful. I feel like it is who he is. I think that's a good map, like you said, direction of who he is and how to get there, which I loved about that. Anybody else have anything about those verses? No. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
The act of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we kind of make faith an object, like it's a noun,
Right.
I have faith, or, we don't like really flip it into a daily moment, action.
Right.
Thing. And I actually said it to y'all while we were listening to Run to the Father, where it says, I run to the Father again and again and again and again. And we do. We have this like finite, I talked to Jesus, I prayed about it once.
Right.
Did you talk to Jesus? Yeah, I did one time.
Yeah, right.
But like the again and again and again part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And all through this book of Hebrews, so much of it has been like, do what you say you believe.
Yeah.
Put that in, put your belief into action. Let your belief be action. Let it be something that is a conscious choice.
Mhm.
Because in that conscious choice, you will then hold fast to hope.
Right.
You will then
Encourage
be together.
others.
You will then stir up each other.
Right.
To love and be and do.
And people will see Jesus in you. I mean, they'll start seeing that.
Because of your active faith in
Right.
the one who's faithful. Like, the more you do that, the more you realize that I have very little to do with this anyway.
Right.
Or to just believe that he is faithful, you know?
Yeah.
And I just love that he has done that throughout this entire book. Like, put your faith, let it be an action faith.
Right.
Not just a now
Right.
faith that I have.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like really convicting for me too, especially like recently because I found myself like growing up in the church, like having faith.
Yeah.
Believing that, you know,
People saying, have the faith. Yeah.
all
Mhm.
faith. And then I find myself very similarly to you, where I'm like, ooh, this isn't fun for me. Let
Right.
me withdraw and handle it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like I'm time after time, all the time, and very consistently, 100%. Whenever I finally like, what do I do? I can't do this by myself.
Right.
And finally, it's like,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually just gonna put myself on class like finally after weeks. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should want to talk to about this.
Yeah. Maybe I should talk to
And
Jesus
God is
about
so
this.
good.
Confide in my
And
best
he's
friend. Yeah.
like, he's like, thank you. Finally, let me help you out. And then,
Yeah.
like, it's very convicting because it happens time and time again.
Mhm.
Where I'm like, let me go sit on my couch because I want to do it.
And isn't it so amazing to think that like every single time, again and again and again, gosh, you have these thoughts. I did it again. I'm a mom, okay, and summer's been summer. With you know what I'm seeing, like so with my kids, it's like sometimes I'm trying to run a small business on the side. My husband works railroad, so he's not home. I'm single mom a lot, and I lose my cool sometimes. And at the end of the night, I'm like, every time, I'm like, dang it, I did it again. Ask for forgiveness. Please come into my heart. In times of frustration, help me put my anxieties away for a minute and tend to my children. Because right now, even though that might have not been my plan 10 years ago, this was his plan. He gave me a child to bring up in situations that, even coming to church, being I can see it in my kids because they see it in me, but I've gone through times of recluse. I'm very much a recluse. Not that it's more of an anxiety of what people think of me, or I did worship at another church one time or a while back, a couple of years back, and I overthink. Did they not like the song? I didn't get the reaction I wanted, things like that, and I dip out. But each time there's just that voice, the Holy Spirit definitely comes within, and it's like but it's welcoming. It's one of those where it's like you just knowing He forgives us. Jesus did that for us, so we can come back again and again, because we all fail every single time. We stop reading our Bibles. Life happens. I mean, we all have different elements of life or schedules and things of sort, and we're human. But each and every time to know that God forgives us because of these steps. I mean, and because Jesus died for us. Jesus did that for us. It's overwhelming feeling. Sometimes it like makes me emotional. I'm like, don't cry. In the best way. And like He is faithful I'm sure each of us have gone through situations where the turmoil of things, the hardship times, how when someone comes up to you, just have faith, and you're like, okay, like, I know, but here, they're saying it again, but in the same breath, even in the turmoil of things, like it's here in black and white, of that He is still going to be here, faithful to us. Yeah. He just wants our heart, our true heart. Yeah. That's it. And we make it sound like it's so hard, but it's so easy. So easy. Like Fathom said, literally, like the words just basically list it out for you. Yeah.
It's right here.
And everybody, and always, it's always turn to his word. That's the answer. It's all here.
It looks so much different, and this is just for me versus like, I don't know, what's that you get me? Getting rid of it.
Yeah, right.
Why does this look so different? Like, why can I not do the same thing here? You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, again, committing where it's like, how dare me?
Right,
How dare
right.
not do
Yeesh.
one thing? It's right here.
Yeah,
How
right.
dare I not?
I have the key. It's here. And how am I not applying that to my life? Because if I would, people will see that in me. My children will see in me when I'm attending, going back to church and sitting there till 11 o'clock at night, my head in the Bible, nervous Nelly over here, like, what am I going to say tomorrow? You know? And yeah, no, yeah. Yes.
And it's such
Yes.
an interesting example that stirs a lot of spirits when it's the vulnerability that's drawn here.
Yes.
This is what was interesting. I gave myself an example when it was here, though I'm sure it was Pastor Jenny, Ms. Franklin in the back. And I told her, I said, my words are so stronghold that and emboldened that I have to push in a direction that either they rhyme or either they go along in a fun hip direction.
Uh-huh.
But the conscious thing was, you know, am I considering going back? And you said
Right.
I have to go back, you know, and you say it's evil conscious always draws you
Oh, yeah.
away and draws you out.
And as humans, it's so easy to just go that direction.
Right.
Whereas if we keep seeking him and focusing on him,
How bolder is it that my words can pierce?
right.
As far as
Mhm.
however your teaching was,
Mhm.
that mind that's just a sponge.
Right.
But those that love and kindness is profane outside of
Mm.
where your Bible states clearly black and white.
Right.
Right in front of you. And it's not as profane, but that evil conscious sets place in your mind saying, draw nearer.
Yeah.
Draw nearer, because you can't just allow that consciousness to set.
Right. And it's a journey. It's an everyday thing. It's a conscious thing. It's literally, yeah, I 100% agree. So good.
This morning I was listening to, it's kind of weird, but I have that kind of music vibration now in my head, kind of art God. Especially today, like, give me, like, I'm not shuffle, give me what you want me to hear.
I did the same this morning. I was like, please, Lord, like, I need something. Get my nerves going. Yeah.
And I pushed play, and the first song that came on was, and the song, I hear your crying, I hear your SOS.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Talk about Holy Spirit. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Faithful. I mean, having faith that he's going to give the answers. If we seek him, you know, even in turmoil, even after weeks of, and I did the same this morning too. I was honestly so nervous. It was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. It's going to be horrible. Then Lord, please just give me some type of boost of confidence. And I was in the shower and put it on shuffle, and literally every single song, like I was sobbing on the shower on the shower floor today. Like, I mean, and he honestly, I just think about personal things that are going on that, you know, I prayed for. I mean, endlessly prayed and was like, oh, this is never going to happen. And I will admit, I kind of put that prayer over on the side. More came up, you know, but that little prayer over there, I still was like, okay, when I'm, you know, you go through your list of prayers at night or in the morning or when you're speaking to him, and that one kind of fizzles away, but it's still there. Still kind of have a little faith in it, whatever. You have to build that up, and things like that, like hearing songs that just lift you up and give you what you need, you know, are just, yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's see. Do my notes here. Anything else kind of up until the 11 that there was one question in the number 2 question. Why does the author relate this warning to the Old Testament cases of people setting aside the Mosaic law? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, please do.
Because the key on verse
Yes.
6,
Uh-huh.
where it says, "For if we go on sinning habitually, after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sin, for fear of expectation of judgment, and the fury of fire will consume the adversaries." So then on the bottom it says the Greek word okati, which means no more, signifies that there cannot be another sacrifice on the cross in order to forgive the individual who willfully rejects Christ. The only consequence for such a person is a fearful expectation of judgment and a fury of fire reflecting God's judgment for sin. This refers to the ultimate punishment for the one who received the knowledge of God's truth but chose to forsake it. And so I think to answer that question specifically, that he uses like setting aside the Mosaic law, because that's all they had.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, if you set aside that after one, because again, the Jews like knew it, they knew the law back and forth. They knew, yeah, like
Right.
They knew it. So it's like you already know, you're ingrained in this, you're grown up in this. So if you forsake this, this is what it's going to be like. But I love this for us today, for those who may legitimately know Jesus, and for whatever reason, whether it is through church hurt, whether it is through deconstruction, as we call it, like through whatever, like if we go on sinning, and sinning not being doing things, but sinning not showing love as God would.
Right. Yeah.
So like if I continue to not show love after knowing and experiencing the love of God, the punishment is so much more severe for the person who has known that and doesn't extend that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like any kid, tell the kid the first 82 times, like, hey, do not do that because, or this is why we do this is why we do that. And then, for whatever reason, they forsake the Mosaic law.
Yeah.
The punishment legitimately is that much worse as a parent than it was the first or second or third time. Because you know.
Right, because you know.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean, just yesterday.
Same.
Like 4 times in prayer, I was like, you knew you should not have done that, right? And the look that he gets doesn't even require a massive consequence on my side for him.
Right, because he just already knows.
He's already in his own self. He can feel the consequence within, just like I knew that and I should not have done that.
Right.
And letting my dad down more than what I did is a much heavier price to pay than it is, oh, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if that's not heavy on your heart, then something's yeesh. I mean,
Know how faithful
right.
God is to experience how faithful he is to experience the love of God, the love of good people, the love of like just what God intended, and then to turn away from that because of X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Which usually has to do more with people than Jesus himself.
Exactly. Or yourself sometimes.
Scary, man.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is very scary to think about.
But remember in verse 19, he said, remember we have a direct access.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. To God himself. And that personal relationship described in that verse 22,
Right.
will hold us.
Yes.
As in contrast to
Stay
the
tapped
law of Moses failed.
Yeah, for sure.
It failed.
Every time.
So our personal relationship is where the faith comes in, and then follows in the whole next section.
Yeah.
All the examples of people who fail.
Right. They're not those who show up. Yeah, yeesh. That's pretty deep. It's very, yes.
Direct connection.
Yeah.
And it's his work through us, not our own.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't about, oh, well, I have to let God do something.
Right.
It isn't
Uh-huh.
about, well, I've got to be better.
Right.
Right.
It's about God's working in me, and what comes out of it is good. It's from Him.
Yeah.
He's the one who transforms.
Right.
He's
I'm just the
one who does
messenger.
work.
I'm just the one. Yeah. You just tell me what to do, Jesus. And that's hard. I mean, it's hard for people, especially when it goes back and forth, And so
Right. And
everybody's
Jesus
journey.
themselves,
Uh-huh.
They didn't have the concept of this, of seeing what Christ's personal relationship can bring. But then he follows all these examples. Of
Right.
people
Mm-hmm. I love how that.
say
Mm-hmm.
it's been here all along.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's been right here all along with the personal relationship.
Yeah. I love that. Let's see, but we are not. I want to point out at the end on verse 39. I know we kind of skipped a little bit in this. If there's anything in between there that comes out to you guys you want to talk about, but I'm just going to jump down to 39. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have faith and preserve their souls. Like, yeah. Like that gets me fired up. Like we are not gonna shrink down to that. We are
Not if we draw near.
right. Not if we consider every single thing. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Look at it, here's the warning. Then he says, but that's not who I'm writing.
Right.
I'm writing to the people who
Yes.
have faith and preserve themselves.
Right.
That's tight.
That is
That's tight.
so good. Let's see, to the leaders. Yeah. And one of the questions on the thing, if we want to go into that, in verse 39, from where does the author draw his confidence in the believers to whom he is writing? I mean, confidence sticks out to me because that's a very confident verse right there. I mean, and I think, we have to also think about, as he's writing this, the believers who had already suffered and endured the persecution, even, physical, for their belief in the confessions, of Jesus as our Lord Savior. So, to think about who he's trying to boost up there to be like, yeah, we're not going to be back down, Okay. So by faith, verse 11, 1 through 40. Let's see. Faith is related to the unseen realities of God. So obviously, we went through that, how he gives examples of how he has shown, faith execution, I think, in my mind. Like, these are all examples of all of that happening. And I honestly feel like the word assurance now in verse 1, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. That conviction right there, we touched on that, where it's like, if you're having those convictions, but the assurance too, looking up, if you want to look up that word in the back, I did, just because I wanted to get a. Okay, well, hey, it's on page 2311. 2311. So I put in my little notes. My daughter, we were playing categories. What's the movie called with dinosaurs? Anybody? There you go. Winner. After dinner last night, that she was literally had all of these cards ready for us to go with, and I was so zoned out, like I didn't win any of them, so I just used them. Okay, so in the very, very back, we're gonna look at 5287. So I kind of read over the little hoopla, I can't say all of those words, y'all. But assurance, confidence, confident nature. And then I kind of went over here to the other side, the ground of confidence, and I circled guarantee or proof. Like, think about when you go to buy stuff or whatever, and guarantees that are given to you, like it's a guarantee that you're gonna like this and that, whatever. This is legit our guarantee from God right there. It says it. Assurance is our guarantee. Proof. Confidence. Like this part right here, I don't know, I just felt like it. If I have a guarantee on a box, I don't know if anybody's seen Tommy Boy. Have you guys, anybody? Yeah. Where it's like, they're like, where's the guarantee on the box? And that makes people feel good, right? Knowing that there's a guarantee that people are like, I promise I'll replenish if you know what I'm saying? That is our guarantee, assurance. Now faith, it is saying this is what faith looks like. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for. Things hoped for. Everything you could possibly imagine. I mean, it's...
Earlier they called Jesus the guarantor. And the person who gives the guarantee not only will honor, they're able to honor it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how good does that feel, right? To know that it is on the box, no matter what, backed up. And that, I mean, the conviction of things not seen. So there's still some underwriting. I mean, you're going to be, but that's the Holy Spirit, I feel like, is when, you feel that tug on your heart, like, I don't really know. That's reiterating back to this assurance, by faith. Faith is related to the unseen. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I put that, with knowing this and having confidence.
And not only that, but also speaking on it, because then it goes, back over in 10, wherever to get together.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things that happen in my life, like, it's been a crazy roller coaster for like 3 years, but
Yeah.
I'll text later, or I'll text my husband, I'll say, okay, you guys didn't do anything crazy, but let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I asked for this on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, lo and behold, I'm like, you're gonna think anything. When I say this out loud, and I'm like, no, like speak, and I'm always afraid to speak on it.
Oh,
Like,
same,
there's
same.
A very, very small group of people.
Yeah.
That I will tell, okay, I guess not, or I said this, or I have this problem, or whatever, and I'm like, and then
right.
But
And
also, I want to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
A little bit further in because he goes on to say by faith Moses, by faith Sarah, by faith.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And for me, these are huge. Like, these are wild, crazy, miraculous things.
Big miracles, right?
And he did it, but like in our lives, we have these. Well, they're big to us, but in God's eyes, not, right?
Right.
And, maybe it's a raise or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, this is so small, because I thought this was more. Again, I was something like, maybe I go to God too much. Like, maybe it's too small.
Oh.
This is like silly. Why does, you know what I mean? Then, like, no, these were huge things.
Yes.
All these.
And how long people had to wait in that faith and the waiting time, I feel like, or even during the turmoil of everything, your life is just falling apart, left, right, this and that. And to hold on, like you said, holding on to that, yes, is just, it's crazy. Confidently knowing.
I like using the definition words.
Yeah.
In the verse.
Uh-huh.
So I looked up conviction.
Uh-huh.
It's certain persuasion.
Okay.
So it's like a faith is the proof or the foundation of things hoped for, the certain persuasion of things not seen.
Yeah.
So like literally, you are a crazy person.
Yeah, right? Sometimes we feel that way, right? No, we're crazy.
No, this is the best thing you'll ever eat.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like a burger. It's not that great.
It's not that great. Mm-hmm.
It's not. You know what I'm saying? But people.
It's me neither.
People have
I'm the
a
same.
massive
Boo. I'd rather roll in.
certain persuasion.
Yes.
to a Whopper,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you look at that and you're like,
Have you
who
ever
have
had?
ever had
Yeah.
a homemade burger?
Yeah. Like, I'll just show you a homemade burger patty. Like,
And
yes.
I know that's crazy because all of the things that we have not seen,
Yes.
all the things that we hope for, like I have seen some crazy stuff
Right.
that has not happened yet. And I'm like,
I'm like
but that is
excited.
the proof
Yes.
of my certain persuasion.
That's in
That's
yourself.
crazy.
Yeah. Ooh.
And so it almost
Uh-huh.
flips into a thing like, yo, just keep saying it out loud.
Yes.
Keep saying, Jesus, you said, Lord, you said. And all of these people, what I love most about this, all of these people were lost.
Right. Yes. Right.
He literally
At
told
some
us in chapter
point.
11, and he's like, yo, a lot of them, they didn't even see the promise that God gave them.
Yes. Uh-huh.
They just believed through the whole thing.
Yeah.
They didn't even see the promise. They didn't even get to see it.
Right.
They didn't even get to see it be fulfilled. But in that, they still got to see the Father himself after leaving earth, which is the thing that you're trying to get to anyway.
Yeah. That's the whole goal of everything. I know. Blows my mind. I
But
know.
like they literally were given so many of these big things. It literally says like Abraham was good as dead. He wasn't having no kids.
Yeah, it's so crazy. When I read that, I know. When I read that, I was like, okay,
It's like, hey,
all right, cool.
But they're like, yo, he was good as dead, man. It was what it was.
Yeah.
So of course, all you have is this active belief because of again of who God is. It's
Yes.
not that I have this massive like gung ho. I wake up and I'm like, yeah, time to believe today.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
like, no, he's
Yeah.
who he is, and that's where I trust.
Mm-hmm. That's where the faith comes in. That's what I wrote down. Faithful is not just what he does; it's who he is.
That's crazy.
Like he's showing us it time and time again, black and white again, in all these examples. And sometimes reading these too, I'm like, man, like my life's not that bad. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, maybe I should just be quiet, but in those times of where you're trying to find that faith and stuff, these are, I just love it. It's black. It's there, right there. So good. Let's see. Let's see.
My very first example of faith was that by faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God. So that what was seen,
Yeah.
what is seen, was not made out of things that are visible. I never even thought of that actually until I was studying the word and thinking, I do believe that God created heaven and earth.
Yeah.
I do believe God created our world and everything in it. But it was out of things that are not even visible.
Right.
That takes us back
That is
to
right.
just the way that was written. That takes us back to the Lord now.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how she put it, but she's like, how can we like put our faith in things that God made? Like putting our faith in the pastor, God made you. You made God.
Yeah.
Right.
So why are we not putting our faith in the thing that
Well, it's
is,
not created.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it just takes you back to that.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
God is so good at everything.
I wrote down kind of in my notes, faith is holding fast to what we know to be true, even when we can't see it. So just a big reminder there. Yeah. Like this is heavy stuff, guys. I was so nervous about it because it is very heavy. I mean, let's see. Okay. So good.
In chapter 11 and 5 and 6,
Mhm.
that is important to me because I want to find out what pleases God.
Yeah.
I want to find out what pleases the Lord in my life.
Mhm.
How did I do the dishes in clean up the house and take care of my son and be a mom, how does that please the Lord?
Right. Yeah. And everything we do. Right.
You know,
Mhm.
it's what I'm doing in the Monday and every day, like, we live kind of a 45 in comparison to some of these.
Yeah,
things.
right, right.
Am I pleasing the Lord in it?
Mm-hmm.
And verse 6 is, and without faith, it's impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to
Mhm.
God
Yes.
must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him.
Yeah.
And that part
Seek.
that part is just believe and seek.
Seek
Just to
him.
draw near.
Even in those mundane times. Even in those mundane times of what am I doing in this season of life? I can think back literally. That's kind of one of the things I was sobbing about this morning. A couple of years ago, I was in a phase of stay-at-home mom. My husband's gone all the time. What is my calling right now? I have nothing right now. You know what I mean? But during the times of staying up late when she's teething, when I'm I'm no sleep, doing those mundane things. What is this doing? Finding that faith. I wasn't attending church at that time because it was too much for my anxieties to have a screaming baby. It was just too much for me. And I didn't want to put those burdens, of or not necessarily burdens, but it was over anxiety for me. And whereas I wasn't going to church, I found where my problem lied one night when my daughter's bawling, crying, and I'm like, Lord, please. And that's all he wanted was me to just go to him in those times, instead of worrying about if the dishes are done, or when my husband's coming home, if I have dinner ready, to be the good housewife or whatever in this time. Oh, I don't have a job, and all of those thoughts. To take from that and draw near, and to know that when I'm losing my anxieties, or when those anxieties come up, those are the times that the Holy Spirit legit comes in and slaps me in the face and it's like, hello, where have you been? Where have you been? And then I start to realize, okay, I'm letting all of these circumstances take over what he's telling me to do right now. You know what I mean? My children needed me. And now looking back at that, I'm like, I completely get it. Duh. And he led me in that direction. It was hard, but it was because of my human instinct to recluse and be like, I'm not wanted, I'm not worthy. But he's saying that we are. The fact that all of that is erased, it doesn't matter.
It's not about circumstances.
No.
It's not about our
Right.
looking right. Did I say it right? Did I do it right?
Right.
It is about drawing near.
Yes. And he will give the answers. He will give, yes, that's it. Yeah. And belief,
Just because your circumstances change.
Yes. Right.
And it's that just brings me to for me specifically, I have to not constantly, when things get wrong, I'm remember where I was at last year?
Yes.
And how I was able to God is doing this and this and this and this.
Mhm.
And then here I am trying to go through this by myself. And then I just think of my said breaker, I was like, yo, my anxiety is bad. I'm X, Y, and Z. I'm listening to things. I was not okay.
Mhm.
And then I literally just prayed about it for
Yeah.
30 seconds.
2.5.
Immediate peace.
Yeah.
It didn't solve any of the problems, but
Right.
shouldering it by myself.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. God just wants to be there and
Mhm.
help us get through.
That's all he wants. That's all he wants is our heart.
I'm so convicted today.
Yeah, so good.
I do that all the time where I'm
Same.
man, okay, here we are. I'm unemployed. I'm not in school.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yes.
I'm sitting at home on my couch.
Yeah.
What am I doing? It's literally, guys, I can't even handle it.
Yeah. And to see, and this all pertains to that assurance of faith, right? I mean, think about, I thought about whenever you got up here and spoke for the first time and you were kind of going through all of that. That was about a year ago, right? I mean, or so. You're listing off all of the things because it was in the turmoil of things. You're like, I don't know. But the peace that came over you, even in all of that, that is faith. That's what we're talking about.
And it's how did I go from there?
Yeah.
Where I was at a few weeks ago, just trying to do it by myself.
Yeah.
I'm brand new.
Yeah.
I'm not brand new.
Yeah.
I'm not brand new. We've been here before.
Right. Yes, right. And it's so easy as humans to do that. But we need each other. We need to gather. We need to come together and stir each other up to, right? To get there, to be able to give encouragement, to say these things happened in my life, and there is faith, we need to come together and show those examples to encourage each other with the wisdom that he's given us, right?
And I think that's part of being human because
Absolutely.
God doesn't hold against us.
Yeah.
Because in all of those examples, like the number of times that Abraham
Mm-hmm.
walked away and then
Right.
the consequences of his own actions.
Right.
God was like, come on, it's okay.
Yeah.
And none of those messed up.
Yes.
None of it's mentioned in Hebrews because it's fine.
Right.
Like God is still there.
Right.
It's
Again
not like
and
it's
again
perfect.
and again. Yeah, absolutely. And no, go ahead.
I also say, we keep talking about, like, we're kind of saying, that we start here and then we kind of make the circle, we start here and there, going. I
Yeah.
think a lot of that is like identity, like trying to find identity in Christ and trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
Because when we try to do it over, we can't, but whenever we identify and bring Christ into that,
Yes.
all of a sudden it's a whole new ballgame, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm on the other side of where you are, right? Now my kids are gone, they're
Mhm.
gone, they're out the house and doing their own thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay.
Now what?
now
Yeah,
I'm
right.
ready. I got my kids ready. Who am I?
Right. Yes.
I'm not Micah's mom, I'm not Kenya's mom, I'm not Brooklyn's mom.
Right.
Who am I? I'm not the one that brings the snacks anymore. And I'm
Yeah.
enjoying those times because it does.
Oh, for sure. I honestly, my heart,
and
like,
so now I'm like, okay, who am I?
yeah.
Who is he?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. You're a great mom. You have all those things underneath there, but yeah, like what's your purpose
And so
right now?
Yeah, my purpose. So now my identity, it was wrapped up in my children.
Right.
As a mom and
Yes.
a wife and a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it has to be. I finally.
Right.
I'm emotional every single time I
Yeah.
think about it because I'm like, now I think I finally figured out that I am.
Right, absolutely. And you were in him the whole time. The whole time. Yeah, right. And I think that's with everybody's journey too, right? I mean, when we all kind of look at life as a race, so to speak, of where it says like the day drawing near, right? The day. It's like it's hard when it's like you said, like in circumstances and
I just cried.
yeah, oh hey, girl. Same, girl. Same. And I go times where I'm like, I don't cry because I feel like when I'm not drawing near, I don't cry as much. You get that hard exterior. I gotta like get the list done, right? But then you get burnout. Then you're over here like crying, like overly crying because it's just like exploded. And you're like, well, had I been in this every single time, crying to him, you don't have to cry every time, but at least seeking him, crying into him, drawing near to him, it wouldn't have been a big explosion. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like I'm emotional, but not about like the same things I was.
Yeah.
I used to be overjoyed. And like you were coming to me, you're like, yo, this side business is doing great. I'm like, heck yeah. And I'm like, I get so hyped up and like joyful for you that it made me emotional.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's my good job. And I'm like, I feel like I heard it. And it's crazy because literally last Sunday was ending also. I was like just praying and like just crying out for softening. Like,
soften my heart. Oh, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Soften my heart. That I think that's a repeat of mine because human life, like lifestyle that I live in. So this is an example that I kind of wanted to give towards the end. Of kind of how faith has just really come into my life. I am a railroad wife, so my husband is gone most of the time, all year round. It's not like it's for 6 months or this and that. It's literally all year round, and he's gone for a couple days at a time. Keep in mind, we've been married for 10 years, and this is my whole life. This is all I've known. My oldest is 10, and my youngest is 6. That's all they've known. So for a couple years now, my husband and I have just been, marriage, it's a hard lifestyle. Girls are getting into different seasons of life. Resentment comes up, things come up where, control, right? And I'm like, I have all these balls and they're just juggling everywhere. Well, I need some help and this and that, well, we're trying to, as a couple, find things that will adjust well for our lifestyle and whatnot. And one of them was him applying for a job. He's been on driving a train for 14 years, I think, 15 years it was this year for the railroad. He's 35, so that's a good portion of our lives, right? And now our kids are getting older and they have things, and it's heartbreaking for them, daddy not able to come to the dance recitals and things like that. It's just one of those things where we're like, and during those times is where my heart was just like starting to harden, because I started just like, why do I have to live this life? And I'm not the only one, and I shouldn't be saying anything because I'm not the only one that has to live this life, circumstances, right? Well, this last week, I was very nervous about coming up here and talking about this, just because this is really heavy. I read over it over and over weeks ago, but it is heavy for me personally, because sometimes I feel like I've been kicked in the face as far as my faith. Like, where did that faith go in knowing that he's going to come through? Well, this last week, my husband got called at 6:30 in the morning, which is very unusual. My phone got called, which is very unusual, from one of the bigger bosses, and he got an offer to be here at the office. So for the next 6 months, our life is going to change. Like, my girls don't know any different of daddy going to work and being home at night, and us going to bed all together, doing dinner every single night. This is like huge for me and my family. And this morning when I'm crying and I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to talk about, right there, I had years and years and years ago when I started praying over this job that he would get, whether it be in the office here or somewhere else, to where it gave us schedule. It gave us somewhat of a routine, kind of. It's 4:00 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning to 4:30 at night. It's 12-hour shifts, but it's still something we can plan stuff. And, this week was very tough emotionally, mentally, for all of us up until this point. And when he got that phone call, it's crazy how he's working in our lives for prayers that were prayed years and years ago. 10 years ago, when I married him, I didn't think my life was going to be like this. I'm like, I can deal with railroad life. It's fine. I'm not clingy. I don't like clinginess. But as the years have gone on, it's hard, during those times with the kids where you are doing everything, but you're like so out, like burnt out and exhausted, and to be able to keep that faith, like, okay, some of these prayers will for sure be answered, I'm going to lay it down at his feet and just leave it there. And so how many times where it's like, I'm on repeat. Do I come to God too much about this? Like, do I need to be focusing on something else? That little bit of faith of that one on this side is still over there, and he does follow through, and he
I feel like it's the leading it there that a lot of people
Yeah.
need specifically have a hard time with.
Yeah.
Like, all right, great.
The journey part.
Let me get to oh wait, like let me have a little bit of that.
Yes,
Let me
right,
try to see if I
right,
can fix it on my own.
right.
And so like the leading it there. Because then once you do, like, oh, he shows up.
Yeah.
He shows up and
Mhm. Every time.
Again
Again and again and again. And yeah. Yeah. So good, guys. Anything else? Yeah, yeesh. Okay. So, gospel glimpses, kind of pretty much went through all of that, the assurance of faith and work, all of that. So, yeah.
I want to say, I went through a period of my life back in 2005 that was really like the darkest part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And my teenage circumstances were really with your dad, and I was not suicidal, but as close to it as I've ever been in my life, and it's not a good place.
Yeah, no.
But a friend of mine gave me a book called Of Whom the World Is Not Worthy, and it's spoken up here in the end of chapter 11. And it gave an example of a woman's life in wartime many years before. And just reading through that book, reading her story, what happened to her children, and what happened to the world around her. She went through war. We have to look back at these stories of faith for people who went through these big things.
Yeah.
Because it makes our life not look so bad.
Right.
It helps us see that I'm thankful for the circumstances that God gave me.
Yes.
But that would help me understand that the world of those of whom the world was not worthy is us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is the believer.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
It is the believer
Yeah.
of whom the world is not worthy. That's how much God loves us. That's
Yeah.
really much.
Mm.
He's
So good.
because our home is not here.
Right.
We are sojourners and we're
Mhm.
pastors, and
Right.
we look to the faith and the hope of
The
what's
end of the
to come,
race.
glory, which
End
is
of the race. Yeah.
complete healing, which is complete fellowship with the Father.
Yeah.
But that helped me get through.
Yeah.
And so I think in really dark times, how do you apply that to your life? How do you apply this to your life?
Mm-hmm.
Is you read these stories about people who have lived through some pretty tough things.
Yeah. Years and years of tough
They
things. Yeah.
pleased the Father, and it was shown, it was given to them as righteousness. It was, counted to them as righteousness, and they grew their faith with such boldness to hold fast their confession
Mm-hmm.
through things that were unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I've had unbelievable things happen in my life. Does
Yeah.
anybody else?
Right. Absolutely. Right. Mm-hmm. For sure. And then, but that I think is what ties us all together, right? Ties us all together to give each other the encouragement that's written right here for us, right? Gathering together to stir us all up. So good. So good. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to the holy place. Yes. Okay. Yes. No, thank y'all. That was awesome. Great discussion.